Oh, I definitely had that unplugged. Mm. Kind of King James. Where's the King James at? Good morning, everyone. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get something real quick. Hold on. Did I bring it? I think I brought my. Like I left it at home. This is so awesome. I'm of course always leaving stuff at home. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I apologize. We did not get started at 8:45. I'm just getting to the office, but I'm going to make sure that we get this up and out. So for those of you waiting on the Tuesday part 2 to the I envision that we're going to get this show on the road. So yesterday, we kicked off the second letter of vision, which we're going to go back over in a second so that you remember all of the letters of vision. And let's go over that now. Let's go over that now. And then that way we can pick back up from where we left off. So we are talking about vision. Here we go. And we are teaching on vision as it relates to leadership, as it relates to you leading yourself. Oh, hey, Facebook. Hey, Instagram. Hey, YouTube. Hey, guys. Good morning. And we're focusing on vision, not the spiritual sense of visions and dreams, but a much more concrete, actual leadership perspective of vision. And as we talked about, vision is the destination in which you intend to take people. And then your mission is how you're going to get there. Okay. And so let's go over our vision acronym. The V stands for give voice. Okay. Whenever God is giving you a vision to lead people, you have to give voice to it. You have to talk about it. You don't just talk about it once, you talk about it over and over and over and over again. You remind your staff, you remind your team, you remind your contractors over and over and over again. You remind your family, your children over and over and over again. Leaders are very, which we're going to talk about today, intentional. And so, if you have a vision for your family, you don't just talk about the vision to your kids once. You talk about it in your normal conversations when you're at the dinner table. You talk about it when they're in the car. You talk about it if you're married and you have a vision for your marriage. You and your spouse are talking about the vision continuously. This is not a one-time occurrence. So we talk about giving voice. The first I in vision, the next I is be intentional. That's what we're on this week and next week as well. Being intentional. You have to show up on purpose. You have to do things because you care more about the vision than people. You care more about when I say people, I mean people's opinions, your own, flickering emotional states. You have to get people to a destination. And so you have to be intentional. And then here's the thing, though. You can be intentional all day, but then our S stands for you have to be strategic. You can be doing the same thing over and over again, and it's the wrong thing to do. And so just being consistent means nothing without being strategic. And we're going to talk about that probably somewhere close to the end of November. And that's important. And then we're going to go to our next I, which is influence. Leaders are influential. Okay, you are not a leader if you can't influence people to bring them to that destination. It's one thing to have a destination, but leaders can influence people. And when you are a great influencer, you're not forcing someone, right? People are intentionally, here's important. A great leader can cast the vision so well that people are making their own decisions to follow you. It's not where they're doing it out of fear. They're doing it out of intimidation. They're doing it out of condemnation, right? Because that a lot of times that's what people do. They make people feel guilty. You need to be following me because, you don't have anything better to do. That's not leadership. That's intimidation, manipulation. But great leaders can cast a vision so well that people see themselves as a part of that vision. They want to participate in that vision, and they're asking, well, what can I do? How can I best serve to help people get to that destination along with you? So that's the job of you building up your team, your leaders, your volunteers, whatever you have, your contractors, whatever type of business or ministry model you have. Or if you're talking about personally, your children or your spouse, right? You are influencing each other to get to that end destination. Does that make sense? So you have to be influential. And influence requires discernment. It requires pace, but we'll talk about that. And then our O in vision stands for operate. Once you cast it, you have to work the vision. You can't just talk about the vision. You have to work it. And so you have to operate within that. And then our N stands for saying no. In order to protect a vision, you have to be willing to say no. And what I mean by that is that many times when you're given vision, there will be a lot of opportunities for say yes to other things that will distract you from what you need to accomplish. So you have to learn how to say no. Someone may say, you know what, I heard your vision, but I think this would be a better way to get that done. But if you know that's the way that God told you to accomplish that vision, you have to say no. And if you don't say no, you are putting the vision at risk. You're putting the destination at risk. You're putting the mission at risk. You're putting people at risk. And a lot of times we don't see vision. It's so funny. And I'm going to talk about this today because, man, the Lord laid it on me so thick. When I woke up this morning, actually last night, and I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to tackle what I really want to say today because let's just go there. So that's what our vision is for. Give voice, be intentional, be strategic, have influence, operating your vision, and then say no. But I want to talk about something today with being being intentional, because we live in a world today. It wasn't like this in the past. We live in a world today that because of the, let's just put it like this, it's so easy to start things that it almost no longer requires sacrifice for many people to truly get things started. I give a perfect example. If you want to start a church nowadays, all you got to do is, you can start a virtual one first, right? All you got to do is announce, find a little small building, or whatever you want to start a church plant, and you just need to get a domain, get a name, get some bylaws. And it's like 1, 2, 3, you know what I mean? And people are launching things as if what they're doing has no true significance. What I mean by that is because of how easy it is in today's society to launch things, people are not really taking into consideration the gravity of what they're doing. If it closes down, whatever, I'll go and move on, do something else. The business closed down, okay, whatever, move on to something else. And people are so used to just easily, I can start a business tomorrow. I can just do this tomorrow, right? And so we have this culture nowadays of quick launches. Everyone's quickly launching things, right? No one is submitting to leadership. I mean, we live in a day nowadays where people, instead of submitting to other leaders, they want to automatically become leaders themselves. Because think about it, we live in a culture where you can just start a business, you can just start a ministry, you could just start this and start that, and just do it automatically in just less than 30 days. And so I think that the reason why I'm really harping on vision is because many people are just throwing vision. It's not even vision. They're just throwing things in the air just to do things. And we have to really be intentional. Truly intentional. And one of the things about being intentional is realizing that you have people in your hands. This is not about you launching ideas. This is about you actually changing people's lives. And I think we live in a culture now that has forgotten people a lot and has focused a lot more on how fast can I launch something? How fast can I get a leadership position? How fast can I get known? How fast can I get my name out there? How fast can I become a leader and, people follow me? And it's less focused on, how am I truly transforming people? We live in a culture now that believes that the only way to transform people is you have to be in the front. You have to be the leader. And so nowadays, people don't even value being second in command. It's now become offensive to be second in command. It's now become offensive, to not have a high leadership position. We have to get back to being intentional first as a servant before we are a leader. And this is what I really want to talk about, because I know that, everyone wants to talk about leadership. We want to just jump, hop, and skip on how do I lead people. But you have to care about the people that you're leading. Okay? You have to care about the people that you're leading. And you have to care about them before you have you're leading in the front. Matter of fact, some of the best leaders are those that you don't even know that they are the CEO. You don't even know that they are the leader. You don't even know that they're leading in front, but they're so influential in how they operate. They can be all the way in the back and they're influencing people. They can be all the way in the middle and they're influencing people. So when it comes to leadership, when it comes to again being intentional about the vision, I want to spend the day talking about Joshua. And this is really important to me. I've brought him up before in different teachings, but I really want to dig in this. We're not going to be long because we'll be back next week. But it's really important I talk about him because many times I want us to get out of this launch culture. If I can pray for anything, I'm praying that leaders get out of this launch culture. Care about what you're actually doing instead of just trying to launch all these different things. I'm trying to care about the people and be intentional enough to commit. Be intentional enough to commit. Okay? To commit. Okay? Let's talk about Joshua 1. There's a particular verse I really want to focus on because Joshua 1 is such a beautiful passage where God is encouraging Joshua because Moses has died, and he's encouraging him to lead the people onward. But there's a very particular verse that I really want to highlight because his encouragement is for a very specific reason. Okay. And we touched on this yesterday, that the way that the Lord operates, good morning, everyone. The way the Lord operates is that he's always trying to take people to a destination. And when we looked at Moses, right? And we said, okay, well, what was the vision? Well, remember that Moses's job was not just to get them out of Egypt. Moses' job was to lead them to their promised land, right? His job was to get them to a destination. Now, of course, we know that Moses, he lived a very long time and he did not see the promised land, but his job was to get them there. Now, due to the Israelites' own disobedience, that prevented them from getting there, but it was Moses' job to not just deliver. And this is very important. I'm touching on this because, as we touched on yesterday, so many of you are more focused on the start of a thing, but it's your job to lead people to a destination, not just your job to get them delivered from. For instance, it's not just your job as a salon stylist or salon owner, just so that women are, having good hair, but how do we lead them to a lifestyle of good hair? How do we lead them to a lifestyle of enjoying, their hair, enjoying, how they can change up all their different styles? It's not just your job so that, people at a restaurant are having, tasting good food, but how do they make good food a part of their lifestyle, right? And so some of the things that we're doing, we're not just trying to create an initial experience, but how you create an ongoing one, right? That is something that I want us to focus on. And so that requires you, again, leading them again to what? To that particular destination. And so one of the things that I want to talk about is Joshua in Joshua 1. This is when the Lord is reminding Joshua that it's not just your job to just, lead them, but it's your job to lead them somewhere. Now let's go to Joshua 1 and 2. Because this is what it sets it up. It says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Joshua 1 and 2. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even the children of Israel. So he kicks off letting Joshua know that you're going somewhere. Now, the Israelites have always been on the move, but there was a promised land that they were supposed to have, right? And so this is a sense of Moses has died. Now get up off your feet and get to going. Because as it says here, unto the land which I do give to them. There's a land in which I've promised them. And Joshua, you need to get up because Moses has died. And I taught this when I was in Boston about why would the Lord repeat this to Joshua that Moses has died? Well, because obviously the Lord had to remind him that it's in the past. Moses is gone. of course, Joshua already knew this, but he's bringing this up to remind him there's something for you to do. And you cannot get caught up in what has happened because there's something that has to happen, right? And so this is why you have to be intentional, because when you become intentional, you don't get hung up as long on things that have happened in your past. And for some of you, again, there's a destination you're supposed to take people, but you're getting hung up on something that has happened in the past. And you have to be like the Lord when he told Joshua, Moses has died. Now listen, Joshua already know this. Do you not think that it was Joshua that was a part of helping in the burial of Moses? I mean, this, come on, everyone knows Moses has died. That's why he's the leader, right? But why is he bringing this up? Because he's letting him know that you have work to do. And this is why you have to be intentional, because when you become intentional, you realize that this is bigger than just you. This is bigger than just a hang up or something, occurring, a circumstance, a trial, right? You have to, not to say you have to quickly heal or quickly move on, but at some point you do have to get up, because we as human beings, even though we are human, we were made in God's image. We are life breathing through our bodies ourselves. So you can't allow life to just beat you up. At some point, you have to take authority and get up. And it's not to say, again, that life is perfect and that, you won't go through things, but you have to keep moving, because things that are not moving, this is important. And I'm not talking about rest. I'm talking about where you've allowed life to beat you up and now you've taken a submitted position to death. You have allowed life to basically say, you know what, do whatever you want to do. I'm done. I give up. Okay, listen, I've been there before. But what I have learned over time is that I have to use my spirit man. When my flesh fails, the Lord is my portion, right? When I don't feel like going on, I have to tap into something that goes beyond my flesh. And so this is how you prove how intentional you are, right? A lot of people, again, everyone wants to launch stuff, do stuff, but your intentionality proves whether or not you really are about it or not, right? Your ability to stand, your ability to keep on going, your ability to continue to build after things have fallen, that is being intentional. Okay, and we're coming to an end, guys. We're coming to an end. Again, we will pick this up back next week. Excuse me. But I want you guys to really think about what is one thing, not some things. What's one thing that you can be more intentional about? And when I talk about this, I'm talking about the vision. I'm not talking about some random ideas. I'm talking about the vision. I'm talking about the vision, whether it's for your life, whether it's for your business or your ministry, whether it's the vision that's for your family. For some of you, you're so focused on the vision for your business, you need to get back to the vision of your family, the vision of your marriage, the vision of your personal relationships, because Lord forbid we put more glory in our business and our ministry, and we forsake the first ministry, which is always going to be our families. And so, your children need to hear about the vision for the family. That's actually one of the things that most leadership-based families do very well, that most families do not, which is that they have a vision for their family. They're not just living just to have kids running around, but there's a vision for the family. They have a vision for how they raise their kids. They have a vision for how they teach their kids of the faith. They have a vision for how they teach their kids about the home and how to respect one another. There's a vision behind this thing. You're not just raising a family. There's a vision for your family. Same thing for your marriage. You don't just have a regular marriage. You have a vision for your marriage. And so, if you haven't talked to your spouse, if you're married, you haven't talked to your spouse about a vision for your marriage, I recommend you better get one. Okay. Otherwise, that's how you get to keep on saying yes to things that you should be saying no to. You allow things to encroach on your boundaries. You allow things to come into your marriage that should have never been there in the first place, right? And so this goes back to having vision. Leaders must have vision, but the vision is not just for, again, your business or your ministry. The vision should be for your family. The vision should be for your marriage. I'll never forget this, and we're coming to an end. But growing up, when I was young, our family, and we still have this today, and I'm 30, okay? We have family meetings. And even now we have family meetings every 2 weeks. And it's funny because I think about how, a lot of people, when I was growing up, kids, they would mock me, you guys have family, running your family like a business, they would laugh, But I think about how close we are today as a unit and how close we are and how we operate. And no one's perfect, but it's because my parents had a vision for how they were raising us. It wasn't just, you guys just grow up and you just become whatever you become. No, there was a vision. So even how we operate, we were taught to put God first. And that was not just from going to church, because you can go to church all day. But what happens in the home? Well, in the home, we made sure that we prayed together. We made sure that we read the word together. What was happening? My family was setting forth a vision for not just having kids, but how do we raise our kids? What do we teach our kids? They were growing up, and even today, there would be a little passage that we would read. It would be a mixture between leadership principles, mixture between nonfiction books that we would read. I remember when I was younger, one of the very first books we read was The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. And I was like, this is such a thick book. Okay. Okay, this is a thick book. But then guess what? We also would play games such as Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki. We were learning about Rich Dad Poor Dad. We were learning about wealth principles. We were learning about spiritual principles. We were learning about all these different things. And I really believe that has contributed to the amount of wisdom I've had even at a young age. It doesn't just happen, while it also can be the anointing or whatever, but it also comes from how you're raised. Right? So what am I saying is that when you have a vision for some area of your life, you no longer live by chance or by miracles. The miracles become your standard. The way you live becomes automatic. There are certain things that, because of what's put inside of you, must come out. If wisdom is put inside of your children, even if they act up, because listen, I gave my parents heartache, I tell you, I gave my parents heartache. Even in all the wisdom I was taught, I gave my parents heartache. But you know what? Some things ended up coming out at some point. And the Bible says that, as you raise your children up in the Lord, as they become older, they will not depart. Now, they may waver. The same thing, some things may happen, but what happens is what you've put inside of them, it will come out. Well, what's my point of saying all of that? What I'm saying is that when you become intentional about vision in your business or your ministry or your life overall, your family, your marriage, okay, it allows you to have a much more intentional way of focusing your energy, of focusing your time, of focusing even within that, your focus, right? You begin, as we talk about in the acronym vision, which we're going to get to at the very end, it becomes automatic to say no. Because you realize what matters. You begin to say, okay, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. Yep, we are going to do that. Why? It aligns to the vision of our family. It aligns to the vision of our marriage. It aligns to the vision of my business. It aligns to the vision of my ministry. So this helps you. See, when you become intentional, man, it helps you to create a stronger vision. It's not just a vision, it becomes stronger because you are supporting it by giving voice. You're supporting it by being intentional. You're supporting it by being strategic. You're supporting it by, being influential. You're supporting it by operating in it continuously. And then more importantly, you're supporting it by saying no. That's our vision acronym. But intentionality is at the core, because once I talk about the vision, I have to make sure that I show up for the vision. I can't just talk about it, but then not show up for it. I have to show up. That's why we have to show up for our kids. We have to show up for our spouse. We have to show up for our businesses. We have to show up for our ministries. We have to show up for ourselves. And you know what? And we're done. We have 3 minutes left on the clock. That is probably the most important thing, because a lot of times we're talking about something, but we're not showing up for ourselves. You're showing up for everybody. And listen, I'm all for everyone else. I'm all for it. But if you don't show up for yourself first, it's going to be hard for you to show up for others. So before you can become intentional about leading others, make sure that you become intentional about yourself. You have to make sure that you understand what is the vision, what is the intentionality for you. You have to be committed first to you before you're committed to anybody else. Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna tell you this: your leadership will be short lasting. It will not last a very long time. Why? Because you're only as good, okay, as you take care of yourself. So if you cannot set boundaries for yourself, how will you be able to set boundaries when you're leading others? If you are not, and when I say this, I'm not here to condemn. It's very important, because for me, when I lead people and how I speak, I'm not saying this to condemn you. I'm saying this to wake up in you something that puts on a light bulb to say to yourself, you know what? I need to take care of me. I need to make sure that I'm resting my mind. I was teaching a group last Thursday, and I told them, I said, listen, I just taught you, it was a 3-hour training. I taught them all this information. I said, guys, listen, don't do anything tonight. Rest your mind, because you cannot effectively grow a business if you don't have a rested mind. And I know there's a lot of people out there that, you know, run businesses like this and they're never sleeping, and that's okay. But I will tell you this, at some point you need to have a quality mind in how you think. Otherwise you'll be making choices out of haste, out of fear, versus a rested place where you can actually make a clear decision and you're not, you know, going like this with it. So this is how, again, we take care of ourselves. So guys, listen, thank you so much for joining Power 15. I will see you guys next Monday and Tuesday. Remember, we do these pop-ups every Monday and Tuesday, usually around 8:45. But again, this morning, it took me forever to get to the office, so I was a little bit behind. But again, if you want to go back through the previous replays, you can always go back to the YouTube channel, Genesis Dorsey Teachings. If you're watching on Instagram, you can click on the video or reel tab, and there's a series that you can click called Power 15. You'll find all the previous Power 15s there. If you want to join the community, would love for you guys to join. We have thousands of people part of the community. And, you know, not everyone's on social media. So email gives me an opportunity to connect with you in a more intimate way. And so you can go to genesisdorsey.com and click on the join tab, and you can join all the leaders that are getting information from me via email. And I will be sending out an email today, actually, because I want to get you guys some information. Just kind of some notes that kind of crossed my mind in reference to what we're talking about now with vision. We also have a new resource coming out soon for free to all of our email subscribers or email community, and it's focused on vision. And it's going to be, it's going to be so good. I've been working on and writing it, and it will be coming out probably within the next couple of weeks. So if you want to get that resource, make sure that you're on the email list so that you don't miss this vision workbook that will be releasing very soon. Guys, thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, guys, be blessed. See you later. See you guys.